Good evening. My name is Travis Cole. You can call me Wonder. This will be the third installment of my fantasy football podcast, the WonderPirate Fantasy Football Podcast. I finally figured out a name. I was pretty happy about it, honestly. It's not that big of a deal, but the WonderPirate thing has always been a thing for me and one of my friends, and if he watches this, he'll know who it is. So there's something for him. So what I was thinking about today, today is Tuesday, the 17th of August, and I was thinking about doing the AFC North as far as I see it today. So we'll go through the teams and I'll go through their schedule and individual players and tell you which players I feel like are going to obviously be the best fantasy contributors, but also a little bit of why I think it anyway. But one thing that the reason that I'm going to go over the schedule is you want to, a lot of times you want to get out to a fast start because the fantasy football season, I guess it's 1 week longer this year because there's an extra week, but you want to get out to a fast start because if you can get to 4-0 or 5-0, you can trade from a position of strength with everybody else in the league, or they may want to trade you for some players that did well in the beginning of the year, but you may not do well in the end of the year, those kind of transactions. Anyway, we're going to start with the AFC North because those guys right there, 6-time champs. Yeah. We're going to start with them, actually. Not because they're 6-time champs, but they won the division last year. So we will start with the Pittsburgh Steelers, just in case you didn't know who that was. Okay, so first of all, their schedule. It's not great to start with. They got the Buffalo Bills, who have a really good defense, but it gets better after that. So the next probably 4 games, they should have a pretty favorable schedule. They're at the Bills first, so that's going to be a bad one. But after that, they got the Raiders, the Bengals, the Packers, and the Broncos. Broncos probably have a pretty good defense, but their offense sucks so much that it may give short fields to Ben and company. So you may be a little disappointed after week 1, and if somebody's down on Najee Harris, maybe they drafted him in the 12th pick or the 13th pick, and you can get him for maybe if somebody's like overreacts to week 1, you can get him for, I don't know, somebody like Myles Gaskin or whatever, maybe if he has a 2-touchdown first game or whatever, and you can like tell him, oh, he's going to do it every week. He is. And then you can get Najee Harris off of him for, a song basically. So just a little something to think about, a little strategy for you. But after that, they should be pretty good for at least a little while until they come up probably against Chicago. That's probably, man, we got a pretty good schedule. We being the Steelers got a pretty good schedule up until about week 13. Then we have in the playoffs where we face some big hitters. So you might think about that too. But okay, so as far as the roster is concerned, excuse me. As far as the roster is concerned, obviously I like Deontay. He is my number, and I'm just going to look at half PPR because that's easiest. He is my number. Where's Deontay? He is my number 26 wide receiver. That's actually pretty low, but that is half PPR. He's a little bit higher in full PPR, and obviously, well, I guess he's about the same in non PPR. There's just people who have higher ceilings above him. So, I mean, uh, like Tyler Lockett or Robbie Anderson, who's the number one on his team and doesn't really have that big of competition for targets. Robert Woods, who's in a better offense. I mean, better is relative, I guess, but it all depends on who you're playing. But like, there's a lot of people above him for me right now, anyway. Um, Juju Smith-Schuster, he's down a little bit on my board. He's below Deontay, obviously, and Claypool. Although earlier today in practice, Claypool got hurt. So depending on how severe that injury is, I may be moving both Juju and Deontay up. Because they'll get that many more targets. And maybe they'll put Juju on the outside and he'll get some deeper targets, which will be really good for his fantasy value, as we know in 2018 or 19, whenever he broke out. He had a lot of yards, and most of that was passing downfield because that's what Big Ben used to do. We'll see if he's able to do that this year with his arm. I mean, I feel like he's going to be better this year than he was last year. I know that's probably not a popular take, but you can call me a homer if you want. I feel like his arm is going to be better. I feel like it just has to be. I watched him the whole year, and he just could not. Like he said before the year started that he threw like 6,000 passes in like a 2-month span just to try and get his arm back in shape for the season. So his arm just wore out essentially. Now he rested his arm this off season, so maybe he'll have a little bit more juice left towards middle and into season, but we shall see. That's Big Ben, obviously. But Big Ben is at least going to be able to make Juju, Deontay, and Chase all top 30. They're all top 30. I mean, they were last year. They're all top 31 receivers last year. You can look it up. So I feel like there's still a good passing offense, so you should not avoid them in drafts. Not that you should reach for them, because I don't think you should reach for any player, but you should at least consider it when you have that pick in the 6th round for Deontay or the 9th round for Juju, anywhere in between for Claypool. But you should at least consider it. Now, as far as Najee goes, all the passes probably are going to help him because he's a really good pass catcher, and you've seen in the preseason they are going to rely on him for the number one running back work share. So he'll probably get like 70%. Maybe not that much, maybe like 65% or 68% or whatever of the running back touches in the Pittsburgh offense. So he should be pretty good, honestly. He should be. Yeah, and their defense is going to be great. We got a whole bunch of new defensive, not new. We got a whole bunch of returning defensive players who were really good last year. We lost a couple of people on the defensive line, but we gained a couple of people too, which probably will help us. That trade for what's his name? I forgot what's his name. Sorry, this is terrible radio or video, whatever you want to call it. Um, well, anyway, oh, that was it. Joe Schobert. Um, we got Joe Schobert from the Panthers or the Jacksonville. So he should solidify that line or linebacking core. Um, we got pretty good corners, so we could have a lot of turnovers this year, which would be good. So they're a good fantasy defense. Do not take a defense before, like if you want to take one, if you're going to have the last pick or whatever, and you want to take one in the round before the last pick, fine. Or the second to last pick, fine. If you have kicker and defense. Um, but if you really don't need to take one in the 12th round, you really don't. It just like they're not going to be that good. Like you can find replacement cost on like Carolina, for example, week 1 plays the Jets, and the Jets have a rookie quarterback. He could throw 4 interceptions. Nobody would be surprised because he's a rookie quarterback, and that's kind of rookie quarterbacks make rookie mistakes. So, or they could fumble the ball. He could hold on to it too long. He fumbles the ball. They could pick it up for a touchdown or whatever, and then you made your whole week. But anyway, um, as far as our line goes, like the offensive line, I mean, obviously it's not going to be as good as last year, or as hopefully it's not going to be as bad as last year, honestly. But it's not going to be as good as 2 years ago or 3 years ago. But I do think that it will be better than last year. I do. I know uh, I mean, that's something that's been said at least, but it's probably not what most people think. Most people think that they're going to suck and that Najee's not going to get any kind of holes or anything. But really, the blocking scheme's not going to change because we are a zone blocking team and we have a zone blocking offensive line coach, and that's just he's very good at what he does. So um, there should be some pretty big holes at times for Najee to run through. And that is the Pittsburgh Steelers. We will go on to the Baltimore Ravens, our arch rival. Um, they have a pretty gravy schedule to begin the year, like pretty good. So their first game is the Raiders. Their second game is the Chiefs. Their third game is the Lions. Then they go Broncos, Colts, Chargers, Bengals. Like their first 7 games, they're probably going to score a lot of points. Like probably the best defense in that is the Broncos. Second best is the Chiefs, but I mean, the rest of them are like the Chiefs aren't even good. Like they can't be that good because their offense scores so much. The defense is on the field so much. Like it's Pat Mahomes will throw the ball 70 yards for a touchdown in one play, and then you're right back on the field trying to defend your the drive the next play. Like he doesn't give his defense much time. Um, so I think they could get off to a hot start. They might be, well, depending on that Kansas City game, they could be 6-1 or 7-0. That's a definite possibility. Now as far as their uh, fantasy assets go, um, Marquise Brown. I will start with wide receivers. Marquise Brown is probably going to be their number 1 now because Rashad Bateman's hurt, and he's probably not going to get much time now at practice. Um, they They have obviously Rashad Bateman. They have Marquise Brown. Other wide receivers they have are they have Sammy Watkins. So and Miles Boykin. Sammy Watkins is probably going to be their number one. He'll probably be really good in week one. He scored 3 touchdowns the last 2 years in a row in week one. So a little DFS tip there. He might score 3 touchdowns versus the Raiders in week one. You never know. I mean, that's a definite possibility. Their number one pass catcher is probably going to be Mark Andrews because he's really good. And you don't need me to tell you that. You've watched him play for years now if you play fantasy. But Sammy's probably going to catch. I mean, realistically, if Sammy doesn't get hurt and he plays up to his potential, he could catch 80 balls for 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. Nobody would be surprised. Well, honestly, I would be surprised because I don't think Lamar is that good of a passer of the football. He's a very good runner of the football. I hate his motion. It's like watching somebody uncoordinated run. It is just it's cringeworthy watching him throw the ball to me. I mean, I'm not a real football analyst, but just watching him throw the ball is not fun to me. Anyway, he's not like you watch Patrick Mahomes throw the ball, you can see how much fluidity he has. You can see where his arm strength is. You can see how well he throws the ball, how well he spins it off of his hand. You can see that. But when I look at Lamar Jackson throw the ball, it just looks like he's like lobbing it, really. It just looks like he's lobbing it. He's like, it's weird. It's weird to me. I don't know. But in saying that, he's very good at running the ball. So that's going to open up passing lanes for him. Just scrambling around. There's going to be a passing lane open, and he'll throw it to a wide open Marquise Brown down the field. He's done it over and over and over the past 2 years. It's like that's what I mean, Marquise Brown is good at getting open when the play breaks down. So is Mark Andrews. That's the reason that he gets so many passes. But I think Sammy might take that job from Marquise if he stays healthy. I think Rashad Bateman would have taken it from both of them if he was healthy, because Rashad Bateman's really good, or at least he was in college. So, Devin Duvernay, meh. I mean, he's okay. I don't know if I don't think they're going to pass the ball enough for them to have a fourth option, or Miles Boykin is a fifth option. I just don't think it's going to happen. I just don't think they're going to pass the ball that much. Now, one thing that Lamar Jackson does do for his team is he opens up running lanes for J.K. Dobbins and Justice Hill. Probably not. I mean, Justice Hill isn't bad, but I wouldn't trust him. Anyway, so on an option play, he's about to hand the ball off, and he's looking straight at the defensive end. Now, if the defensive end comes straight at him, that opens up an entire area of the field for J.K. Dobbins. So he just hands the ball off, and J.K. Dobbins runs for 9 yards a carry, or I think he had last year like 6 yards a carry, something ridiculous. But that's the reason. And I don't know why I said Justice Hill. It's Gus Edwards would be his backup, which Gus Edwards is very good. He's probably going to get some run. But I really think J.K. Dobbins may just take over that backfield this year. Now, he's probably not going to have 300 carries like Derrick Henry or something, but he'll probably have 160, 170 carries. He might have 30 catches. He's not going to catch a whole bunch just because Lamar Jackson doesn't check the ball down very much. But I think he's going to be pretty good this year. I have him about a third round pick, I think. Let me check my rankings. So J.K. Dobbins is he's number he's number 19 right now on my board. So he's behind most of the like workhorse backs, obviously, obviously Christian McCaffrey, and all the way down to Austin Eckler, Nick Chubb. I mean, I have him behind Antonio Gibson, David Montgomery. I have him behind Najee Harris, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I actually have him right around the area of Josh Jacobs, Miles Sanders, and him are the three that I'm like, they could be kind of the same, but he should be pretty good. As far as the wide receivers go, they're pretty far down, I think. Let's see. So the first one I have is actually Sammy Watkins, and he's number, looks like 37. So we'll see. I don't know. I just don't trust Lamar Jackson throwing the ball. Just don't. I mean, I would rather be wrong about that and have him catch 60 balls for 1,000 yards. Like, okay, I mean, I can get Deontay Johnson and around the same range as him for or I guess not Sammy. Sammy's going pretty late, but Marquise Brown's going earlier than all these guys, and I can get probably more production from, well, his teammate Sammy Watkins, or honestly, I think I can get more production from Jacoby Myers, especially if oh, what's his name? The rookie in New England. Well, if he takes the job from Cam, I think that he could. That Jacoby Myers could be pretty good. Um, but anyway, so, and that's oh, the Ravens defense is pretty damn good. Like pretty good. They're always good. It's because they can draft with the best of them. Like they can draft. They are very good at drafting. Um like they just take value every single time it's up. Like no matter whether it's on the offensive side or the defensive side, they take value. So they're always good. They always will be good as long as they keep doing what they're doing. All right, on to the Browns. So the Browns, their week one is the Chiefs. Their week two is the Texans, which is a good. So they could score a lot of points in the first two games, but when you get to week three, you got to run. You got Chicago, the Vikings, and the Chargers, and Cardinals have have a defense that is pretty improved, and they have the Broncos and the Steelers after that. So they could get off to a hot 2-game start and really cool off. They could realistically be, I mean, they could be 2-6. Well, honestly, they could be 1-7 their first 8 games. And if they are, we'll see about Baker Mayfield next year. But speaking of Baker Mayfield, they he is the quarterback for the Browns, and I feel like he's underrated this year. I think that he's going to be good in fantasy. He's going off the board somewhere around 20 in fantasy, and I feel like he's probably around 16. Not that he's great, but if you get stuck late, uh, like I don't really draft quarterbacks early. Um, Shout out JJ Zacharyson for the late round quarterback, but he, I mean, he's not a bad quarterback for a 14th round pick. Like you can get him so late and he won't kill your team, especially in the first 2 weeks. Now, after that, if you want to get rid of him because you see the schedule and it's not looking good for him, then okay, that makes sense. Maybe you drafted Trey Lance and he takes over the job uh, the third week and you don't have to worry about it. You got a quarterback for the rest of the year after that. Anyway, um, so one of the reasons that I think he's going to be really good is because of the wide receiver core. He has Odell Beckham, he has Jarvis Landry, he has Rashad Higgins, he has Donovan Peoples-Jones, he has Kareem Hunt out of the backfield. Like, I mean, Austin Hooper is nothing to sneeze at. He had 1,000 yards a couple of years ago, or maybe not 1,000 yards, but he had a very good season for Atlanta a couple of years ago. And I just think Baker could surprise some people this year, kind of like Ben actually. Um, Now the wide receiver core, Odell. I mean, everybody says that he did better. Baker did better after Odell left. Well, I mean, you don't know. He wasn't there, was he? You never know if he would have been better with him on the field. Like maybe he would have been MVP status. You don't know. Like, yeah, he was good after it, but that could have just been a level up for him, not necessarily anything to do with Odell Beckham. I have Odell right now at 29, somewhere around there. I think 29. Yeah, right here. Yeah. So and I have Jarvis Landry like literally right next to him. So they could both be top 30. It's very possible. But I don't know. Like I haven't seen it yet, so I'm gonna be conservative with ranking them. Um, Not that they're a bad pick because they're going later than a lot of wide receivers right now. I mean, you can see it in the mock draft I did the other day. They're going pretty late. Now one person who's not going late, Nick Chubb, and I think that Nick Chubb is going to be real good. That man is a beast. He's very, very good at avoiding tackles. He's very, very good at finding a hole. He can like he goes into a pile of bodies and he comes out one itty bitty hole that he finds like right on the right side, like almost every single time he gets the ball. It's amazing. It's I mean, Derrick Henry just bowls people over. Nick Chubb isn't as big as Derrick Henry, so he just bounces off of people. I mean, it's amazing to watch him run. Um, I have Nick Chubb right now. He is my number 8 running back in half PPR. So he's going to be pretty good. Let me see what I have him for as far as projections. So I project Nick Chubb with 1,544 rushing yards and 12 rushing touchdowns. So it's going to be pretty good. Now that's, again, a 17-game season. So take it with a grain of salt, but still, that's pretty ridiculous. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much the Browns. I mean, I think they're going to be good this year, or better anyway, but I still think they're third in their division. Like, so sorry to burst you guys' bubble, Brownies. Now, bringing up the rear in our division, last year and I think again this year, is the Cincinnati Bengals. We like to call them the Bungles because they have a Browns play almost every game, which not even the Browns have a Browns play every game. That's debatable. But if you don't know what a Browns play is, look it up. And if it's not on the internet, message me on Twitter and I will tell you what a Browns play is. At Travis WNDR Cole, just in case you didn't look at the first two. So, okay. Now, Cincinnati. So their schedule is really terrible at the start of the year. Their first game is against the Vikings. It goes Vikings, Bears, Steelers. All three are terrible to play against. Like they all three have great defenses. It gets a little better at that point for about 3 games, and then they face the Ravens after that. But they got the Jaguars, the Packers, and the Lions weeks 4 through 6, and then the Ravens, and then Jets and Browns. So I feel like if you want to get off to a hot start, this is not your team. Not that they're going to be bad over the long haul, over the season, but to start with, I do believe that Joe Burrow is going to have to basically run for his life because their offensive line is not very good. Their Joe Burrow was hurt last year, so he might be playing a little skittish, especially in his first couple of starts back, until he gets hit and doesn't get hurt. So your wide receivers, T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd and Jamar Chase, all of them might do a little less in the beginning of the year than you expect them to do. If you aren't the owners of them, you might pick them up for the later half of the season, like after their bye week, maybe. Maybe their value will be depressed a little bit, and that would be a good time to pounce. So I don't really like any of their tight ends. They got CJ Uzoma, Drew Sample, meh. It's not nothing to write home about. I do like their wide receivers though. I do. Jamar Chase is probably going to have a rapport with Joe Burrow because they went to college together and they had that really amazing year a couple of years ago. T. Higgins is just a really good receiver. He came out of nowhere. I don't remember what round he was picked in. I think it might have been the 4th round or 5th round. Tyler Boyd is a really good possession receiver. So they have 2 really good possession receivers and 1 deep threat in T. Higgins. And I feel like they're going to be behind a lot in games. So DFS play is probably a good idea. Not in the first 3 weeks because they're facing really good defenses, but if you wanted to get contrarian in a GPP or tournament or whatever, that's probably a good idea. Probably a sound strategy anyway. And if you want to know what that means, you can either message me or put a comment in the video or whatever to tell me to explain next time what those mean. If you really are interested in daily and want to get into it, I can do that. I'm not the best at daily. I will admit that. I've done it sparingly off and on for about 2 years now. I've made about, I don't know, somewhere around 300. I mean, that's nothing to shake stick at, but it's also in comparison to people who have won, like that's their job. It's like I haven't won anywhere near what they did. But anyway, just a little like I mean, even their fourth receiver, Auden Tate, I mean, he had some awesome games last year. Like I think he had 100 yards and 2 touchdowns in one game. So um, he's a very good fourth receiver for sure. So if any one of them gets hurt, you can pick him up off the waiver wire or in your dynasty leagues or whatever, and you'll probably get a spot start out of him a couple of times for sure. Joe Mixon, I do have pretty high right now. I have him statted at he's my number 9 in half PPR, so he's right behind Nick Chubb. Oh, and just so y'all know, Najee was number 15 for me. I know I forgot to say that. Sorry. So he's number 9, and that's mainly because they're saying that he's going to get all the passing work. And I mean, I don't think he's as good as everybody said he was coming out. But I do think that he's going to get all of the work, as much work as he can handle this year, because I think he's on a contract this year. I think this is his contract year. I don't know if he has, if he's re-upped yet. Maybe he has, and I'm talking out of my butt, but I don't think so. But I do think he's going to get all the work, and I think he's going to get all the passing work, and I think he's going to be pretty good. I know everybody's said that for the past 2 years, and he hasn't delivered, but I feel like this year he could really break out. Now, I mean, I'm talking myself out of him right now. The offensive line is a struggle. It's going to be a struggle for him, but hopefully with the additional passing work after Giovanni Bernard went to Tampa, maybe he'll be better. Anyway, so that was the AFC North, and it was a lot of talking. I'm not used to doing this yet, so it's a fun experience. I enjoy it, and it's actually helping me. I'm actually going to change some of my rankings as well, based on what I've looked at in the past, however many minutes this thing has been on, 30 minutes or whatever. Just because I've looked at my rankings and seen where I have people, and I think I need to adjust, especially like J.K. Dobbins and Najee Harris and some of the pass catchers. I think they need to be a little higher, because I feel like they're going to do better than some of the people above them. So I am Travis Cole, and this is the WonderPirate podcast. And if you like it, give a subscribe and a follow. I would appreciate it. And hit me up on Twitter at any point in time. My Twitter handle is Travis WNDR Cole, and we can talk about it. You have yourself a very